Welcome to the BLUF podcast, where you get the bottom line up front and we won't waste your time.
Hello and welcome back to the BLUF line. Again, I am your host, Command Sergeant Major Juan Jimenez, stationed out of Redstone Arsenal, Alabama. Coming at you. It's been a little while and I apologize. We had to take a little breather to catch up on some things administratively, but we are back and I'm glad to be back. Thank you to all our listeners for being a little patient. And if you're listening, thank you for chiming in and listening. We are on episode 14. We had to get off lucky 13. So I'm glad we're back. I'm glad we're able to bring some information out to you guys. Again, reach out to me if you're interested in listening to somebody or bringing somebody on the show to get interviewed. I have another special guest today that we're able to bring on to talk a little bit about the Army Retention Program. I want to introduce our AMC Command Career Counselor, and that is Sergeant Major Juan Lopez, or Jesus Lopez, excuse me, and pass the mic over to him to kind of let himself introduce what he does and where he's from and just a little bit about him. So without further ado, I'm going to pass the mic over to Sergeant Major Jesus Lopez. Welcome to the show, man.
Thank you, Sergeant Major Jimenez. Command Sergeant Major Jimenez, I'm sorry. Tell you a little bit about myself. I was born in Puerto Rico, Boricua all the way. Began my military career in 1998, 23 years ago. Seems like a lot, but I actually enjoy every minute of it. I held numerous positions, infantryman, recruiting, operations NCO, career counselor, and now command career counselor for the, of course, U.S. Army Materiel Command, the best ACOM in the Army. I'm married to my soulmate. I have two beautiful daughters, which one of them, I'm really proud of her. She's in the Army as well. Second lieutenant, brand new, finished her master's degree, and she's recently married. So that shows a lot of effort from her. I'm proud of her, as you can tell. I love helping soldiers and families every chance I get. I love working out, so I can eat. I'm Hispanic. And of course, excel the APFT and now the ACFT and keep up with the younger generation of soldiers. I also enjoy traveling with the family every chance I get, and I appreciate the opportunity to actually be here and share some thoughts about the Army Retention Program.
Sergeant Major Lopez, again, thank you for taking some time out of your busy schedule. I know AMC keeps you pretty busy. You reach out a lot to all the other career counselors out there and keep everybody going, keep our Army pumping and keeping them in boots. So we thank you for being on the show today, and what an awesome story and career you've had. Thank you for your service to our country. And I can tell you that I've met Sergeant Major Lopez here at Redstone Arsenal and, battle buddy already. The most unique thing about serving in the United States Army is we come from all walks of life. Like you said, he comes from Puerto Rico. I was born in El Paso, Texas. I'm Mexican descent, and we can get along just fine. And, he true friend already. Glad to have him on the team here with us. We support each other, and I'm glad he was able to take a little time, and I'm sure your family's proud of all your accomplishments and everything you've done. Really, this platform is to talk a little bit about yourself, talk a little bit about what an AMC Command Career Counselor does for the United States Army. And I just want to kind of, throw another question at you is, what is your role as the AMC Command Career Counselor?
As you already know, we work for General Deli and Samuel Delgado. So I'm the program manager, for the retention program, policy administrator, and expert technical advisor to them on all retention aspects of the Army Retention Program. I also exercise operational supervision over subordinate unit retention programs. I prepare and conduct training and conduct staff, assist, teach, and train subordinate staff sections. We also administer daily operations to pull and disseminate reports to all subordinate commands. This is the retention of eligible soldiers to make sure they track them, and also the enlistment statistics numbers, including soldiers transferring into the Army Reserves. So far, year to date, we have enlisted 253 fiscal year 2021 soldiers and 123 FY22 soldiers, with a total of 376 soldiers year to date. We're currently working with 27 more FY22 initial term soldiers and 10 more midterm soldiers to accomplish the retention mission for the fiscal year and to meet the headquarter DA retention mission that was given to us. In addition to that, in the emails that I send to the commands, we track whose soldiers have transferred the GI Bill, the 9/11 GI Bill to the dependents, and to ensure they meet the service remain requirement. We track and process all medical mandatory reclass. When it comes to medical, if somebody has a P3 profile, we try to help them out. They get referred to us, and we try to help them out to see what other MOSs they can do if they don't get MEB. We also do mandatory reclass, in case they don't meet the qualifications required by the MOS. We do the mandatory reclass as well for them. And other reports that we do, that we stay engaged with the team to ensure not only we do enlistments, we do readiness in regard to soldiers, and taking care of them and their families.
Hey, look, that's a big job, man. And I appreciate what all our career counselors do. I can tell you that, even in my time when I heard about the post 9/11 GI Bill, I went and sat down with my career counselor to see what it was all about. I definitely signed up for it. And I can tell you, just like the story you told about your daughter being a lieutenant in the United States Army, my daughter is using the post 9/11 GI Bill as we speak and started her second year at the University of Texas in El Paso. So, there's a lot of great things out there that are opportunities for soldiers that some might not even know without, going and seeking out either a retention NCO or a career counselor to get that great information. So I would ask you, what made you want to go into this field of career counseling and retention?
The main thing is, as I stated before, is taking care of soldiers and families. That for me has always been my priority number one. When I finished my recruiting duty and I came to line units, the CSM offered me the opportunity to actually be a retention NCO. And because I always love to help soldiers out, in regards to the career-wise and options and benefits, to stay with the team, I decided to switch over from infantry to career counselor. I'm a career counselor first, before command career counselor, before anything else. I have the system to check all the options, so I sneak around every chance I get to talk directly with the soldiers all over the war. As you know, we have soldiers in U.S. Army Materiel Command in every installation. So we ensure we go the extra mile for them, and their families in making the right decision and stay with the team. I also talk to the leadership to provide expertise to continue to improve the retention program, and to that end, accomplish the retention mission. So I love what I do. I share that with everyone out there, and with that, we take care of soldiers as well as make the retention mission.
That is awesome. And taking care of soldiers is, our primary mission as a non-commissioned officer. And it just kind of makes me think of the creed of the non-commissioned officer, where it talks about no one is more professional than I. I am a non-commissioned officer, a leader of soldiers, and as a non-commissioned officer, I realize that I'm a member of a time-honored corps, which is known as the backbone of the Army, right? So that time-honored corps, to me, I think, the non-commissioned officer being that career counselor allows for others to continue to serve. And if you've, spent a few years in the Army and you're on the fence of, should I stay in or should I not? I think definitely sitting down with, your first line leaders, your career counselors, those people will definitely talk to you a little bit about, what it is all about being in a time-honored corps, right? And you just mentioned about extending yourself out and helping. I mean, to me, it's all spelled out in our creed of the non-commissioned officer. It talks about my two basic responsibilities will always be uppermost in my mind: accomplishment of my mission and the welfare of my soldiers. So it's definitely spelled out. And like everything that we do out here, if you serve your time as a soldier, be it 3 years, 4 years, 6 years, 10 years, and you feel like, I've reached a point and I'm ready to transition. I mean, the career counselor will also give you some good advice on that as well. I know the career counselor's primary mission is to ensure that we retain our soldiers and help them in finding, avenues that they might be looking that align with Army's goals as well. And that's what they do. So I think that's pretty important that you took on that job, and now you're leading in the AMC, leading other career counselors out there. I would tell you that we're getting out of this COVID pandemic. A whole year was a little bit tough for everybody. We were just talking about finances earlier before we came online. We were talking about other restraints that we had to go through with this COVID pandemic. Did you guys, as career counselors, kind of feel that same tension while COVID-19 was going on? Any thoughts on that, or ways that you guys worked around that?
I will tell you, in our job, we use a lot of systems, We call them directly by phone, by MS Teams, by emails. So we're familiar to not having them face to face, perhaps, especially in the AMC where we have to reach out to them from far away. So the systems were already in place. The only changes is in regards to the soldiers. The soldiers last year, they were actually skeptical about getting out. So we have a lot of high retention rates. Not that we didn't do before, but we have a little higher than normal because they were waiting out to make sure, the outside was actually up and running. They didn't want to risk that. So we do a lot of extensions. We do a lot of enlistments based on that. This year is different. This year, they actually seeing where the pandemic is actually getting better. And they actually, not all of them, but some of them, the ones that actually extended last year, they're actually thinking about getting out right now this year. So we have to re-engage them, and make sure the leadership is involved, continue to be involved as they already are, to help them out to stay with the team. So the only difference between the two is last year they were extending, this year they were actually considering some of them, the ones that extended last year just based on waiting out, they're actually trying to get out. So regards to the job, we were doing good. It was not different. We just had to do it more with the systems. In regards to the soldiers, that's the difference between the two.
Sergeant Major Lopez, I would tell you that you said something there and it really resonated with me, and you said leadership involvement. I think that's very important, especially for young soldiers that are in the United States Army coming through, trying to figure out the Army way, or trying to figure out, is this a career for me, or just trying to learn the system of being a soldier in the United States Army. And leader involvement is definitely key and crucial in what we do. And I think first line leaders all the way to career counselors and retention NCOs, they definitely should have the tools, or should ensure they have the tools to be able to advise our young soldiers about the future of what the Army may hold, different bonuses that may be out there, different options that might be out there, or you name it. I mean, there's things out there that career counselors know that not the everyday soldier knows. I would ask you, what do you suggest, or what do you think if a service member is on the fence of either re-enlisting or getting out? What are some things that you would advise that young soldier to think about or look into before making a big decision like that?
Every time I talk to the soldiers, especially if they're on the fence, I always tell them to compare and weigh out the options. I tell them, hey, just grab a piece of paper, compare the two, the plan that you have of getting out and the plan of staying in, and compare the benefits, and the job, and then see which one is the best. And not only that, ensure that your plan to get out is actually the best plan to actually execute. Because a lot of times they want to do something, but the plan is not really concrete. It's just they're throwing the dice, and seeing if that will actually play out. When we talk to them, we ensure they know the basics. Regardless, they tell us, if we have some of those that tell us, hey, I'm not enlisting no matter what you say, Right. No problem. You're going to hear me out, I'm going to tell you what options you may have. So we go over the options. You ensure that they are in the enlistment window, which is 15 months from ETS. And then we also ensure that they are qualified to stay in the Army, because sometimes they're not qualified based on APFT failure, overweight, you name it. It's many things, legal, many things that could be a disqualifier for them to stay with the team. But if they meet all the qualifications, then we ensure we give them the 5 options if they qualify. The regular Army, which is option 1, is just to add more time. Normally we use that option just to meet a service remaining requirement from headquarters DA imposed assignment, Then we have option 2, which is the best option in the Army, right? Is to stay in the current location where they at, because they love those leadership and they love the team cohesion and all that. That is the stabilization where they can be stabilized for 1 to 18 months period of stabilization. And then we have option 3, which is in case they want to change their MOS, we can see what other MOSs may be available. Perhaps they have to qualify, in the line scores to enter into the MOS. And also if we have the MOS available and the strength support for them to actually reclass. We also have in the same option 3, which is Army training, we also have if they wish to do an SQI ASIs. That's also an option available depending on the MOS and all that, and also the slotting that the Army has available. Option 4 is the overseas assignments, as you all know, is depending on the strength and all that, they can request Korea, Europe, Germany, Hawaii, Alaska, Japan, and many other overseas assignments that we may have. We do have the system to see every location that is available, MOS and skill level. So that is a big thing for us to actually be there and actually show them, or through the phone, FaceTime. The option 5 is the current station of choice, to stay stateside in the States. That'd be, for example, for John, Hood, Stewart, Meyer, Lewis, you name it, all the stateside assignments that we may have. Those are the enlistment options. We also talk to them about the special programs, they want to be recruiters, drill sergeants, they want to go OCS, green to go. I mean, the Army has so many different options that they can go to and take advantage and maximize, the Army career. But it's up to them. It's up to them to actually do that next step. And we help them out in regards to making sure they qualify and what is the best option for them, as well as you already know, we got to match their needs and desires, right? But we also got to help the Army needs, and that's what the systems are for. We tell them, hey, just always talk to them, talk to the retention NCOs, talk to the career counselors, make sure you sit down, spend some time with them, and take the options available to you and take them with you and think about and weigh out the options of getting out and staying in. And that's mainly our main thing that we tell the soldiers,
No, man, and to our listeners, you heard it here, from our AMC Command Career Counselor, Sergeant Major Jesus Lopez. A lot of options out there. Definitely get with your leadership, get with your career counselor, retention NCOs, and they can advise you on all that information, or they can at least ask to get you that information so that you're well aware of what you're doing. It is a big decision after serving 3 to 4 to 6 years. For those that are initially completing their first term, or if you're about the 10-year mark and crossing over, they definitely got some good information. I can tell you that when I first joined the Army way back in the day, I was planning on doing 3 years and getting out. And 28 years later, I'm still going, and it's because retention NCO or career counselor continue to walk me through, the decisions of what's comparable to the outside of the Army versus the inside of the Army, and make me break down kind of a financial breakdown to ensure if I was getting out, I aligned with the same kind of pay I was currently getting, and I was also getting promoted, so I liked what I was doing and made my decision a little bit easier with that good mentorship of career counselors. So outstanding job by our career counselors out there, and if not, seek them out. They will definitely get you that information, and that's what I wanted to do today. As we kick off episode 14 is bring on Sergeant Major Lopez to tell all service members out there that there is someone that you can talk to about career opportunities in the United States Army. If you're thinking about transitioning out or thinking about re-enlisting, by all means. And also for our civilian workforce, if you got some soldiers running around there and they've been there for a little while, encourage them to go talk to their career counselors as well, so that we can keep our members on the team. I think it's important, especially if we've invested so much into their training and stuff like that. We want to keep good soldiers in our ranks and in our force. So it is a good field to be in too as well. I mean, if like he said, there's options in there. If you've ever thought about being a career counselor, that is an option too. But I just want to thank Sergeant Major Lopez, and before I close out with our BLUF line today, give him a last opportunity to say anything he might want to say before we close our line. Again, to our listeners, thank you for chiming in. I know it's been a little bit, and I've been wanting to get back on. We're back on, and by all means, send me an email, send me a telephone if you're interested in finding out a little bit of information on a certain topic, so we can make sure that we bring that on. But without further ado, Sergeant Major Lopez, any last closing comments or anything you want to put out to our listeners out there?
Hey, if for any reason you are on the fence of enlisting and at the end you decide to ETS, please consider transitioning to the Army Reserves, into the National Guard or the Reserves. It's always good to stay with the team, to keep that benefit, especially the healthcare, and that team cohesion, and be part-time of a great team of the Army. As we all know, helping the organization and its people is our number one priority. Talk to your soldiers and families to stay in the Army team. It is critical, as we stated before, for all levels of leadership to stay involved with the soldiers' decision to stay with the team. As you know, recruiting and retention equals Army overall and strength. So soldiers come from somewhere. Every time we ask G1, S1 for soldiers replacement, they come from recruiting and retention. We must do our part to retain our most valuable asset in the Army, soldiers and families and its people. We appreciate all the leadership effort and involvement on retaining our soldiers and family. As I stated before, we enlisted 376 Army strong soldiers, and this is a reflection on the quality of leadership exhibited by commanders, officers, and NCOs. I want to thank Command Sergeant Major Jimenez for giving me the opportunity to share the retention knowledge to all leaders and soldiers, and we definitely appreciate your command for taking care of us here at Redstone Arsenal. Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Sergeant Major Lopez, for taking some time to come on the show, give us some knowledge, give the listeners some knowledge out there on our retention program in the United States Army. Just to recap some of the episodes that we've done, and it's really an information flow that I wanted to kick off this podcast, especially during the pandemic, and I want to keep it going. We kind of kicked it off with some general information on our first episode, and we were able to bring in Department of Public Works and talk a little bit about that. We talked public affairs and kind of the state of COVID. We were able to bring our religious support NCO, our inspecting General Sergeant Major on the show, our safety guru to talk safety around the installation. We even brought on our HHC First Sergeant. We brought a recruiter on to talk everything recruiting. We brought an engineer on for episode 5. Our equal opportunity advisor up at AMC was on our show. We talked about SHARP, our sexual harassment assault response program. We here recently closed out the Army Emergency Relief Program, so we had our coordinator come on and talk a little bit about that. We also had our CR2C, our Commanders Ready and Resilient Council, and here for episode 14, we were able to bring in our AMC, Command Career Counselor, Sergeant Major Lopez, to talk retention. So, by all means, reach out to us. We'll continue to bring you the information. That's us here closing out episode 14. Thank you all for tuning in to the BLUF line. We are out of here. Bye-bye.
Stay Army strong when it matters.